You think your feelings are these poetic little mysteries. You collect words like sonder and hyreth and anemoia, and you post them online like tiny emotional trophies. You think you're exploring the depth of the human soul. Nope. Here is what is actually happening. Every single one of those precious, untranslatable emotions is not a mystery. It is a glitch, a system failure, a trap your own brain sets for you because it cannot handle the full scale of reality. And once you see the mechanism behind every single one of them, you cannot unsee it. In the next few minutes, we are breaking down 11 words you think are beautiful and exposing them for what they really are. Sonder, hyreth, limerence, canopsia, chrysalism, velicor, monocopsis, the German monstrosity, anemoia, oculism, and onism. We are going to rip out their poetry and show you the cold, mechanical wiring underneath. And by the end, you will see every quiet moment of your life as a predictable, chemical, evolutionary misread. You will not feel more spiritual, you will feel smarter and a little bit hollow. That is the point. Sonder. The moment you glance at a stranger in traffic and it hits you, that person has a whole life, a childhood, fears, a favorite song. You feel deep. You feel connected. Nope. Sonder is not emotional depth. Sonder is your brain's simulation software shorting out. Your mind runs a simplified model of every person you meet, just enough to predict their next move in traffic. It uses maybe 1 or 2% of its capacity. But sometimes the simulation glitches. It accidentally renders the full detail. It tries to run a complete personhood model for a complete stranger, and your brain, that meat machine running on glucose and electricity, hits a processing wall. The scale is too much. The system cannot handle loading 8 billion full human simulations, so it crashes. That sudden, overwhelming feeling, that is a blue screen of death. That is your brain giving up. You are not enlightened. You are a computer that just overheated. Hyreth. The Welsh longing for a home you cannot return to, a grief for a past that feels lost. It sounds noble, like you have a deep ancient soul. Here's the reality. Hyreth is a memory indexing error. Your brain stores locations and emotional states in the same messy pile. When you were a kid, a summer felt endless. Your brain was flooded with novelty, low cortisol, and high dopamine just from riding a bike. Now, when you remember that summer, your brain pulls up the location file and the emotional file together. But the physical place still exists. You can go there. And when you do, the emotional file does not load. The feelings are gone because they were never in the bricks. They were in your young, low-stress neurochemistry. So your brain does a subtraction error. It fills the gap and calls it grief. That is the trap. You are not longing for a place. You are longing for a brain state you cannot buy back. Limerence, that early phase with someone where you can't stop thinking about them. Your brain stops working. You check your phone 50 times an hour. You call it falling for someone. You call it chemistry. Wrong. Limerence is a dopamine hijack running on incomplete data. A psychologist named Dorothy Tenoff mapped this in the 1970s. Your brain is not in love. It's in a state of extreme uncertainty. The reward chemical, dopamine, does not spike when you get what you want. It spikes while you wait, while you hope, while you wonder if they feel it too. That little rush when they message, that's your brain flooding dopamine because there's still a chance. The whole system is designed for one thing only: reciprocation confirmation. The moment you know they like you back, or the moment you know they definitely do not, the uncertainty dies, and so does the feeling. That tells you everything. It was never about the person. It was about your brain craving closure like a slot machine addict staring at spinning wheels. Canopsia. The eerie feeling in a place built for crowds when the crowds are gone. A school during summer break. A stadium after the game. You think you're sensing the ghost of energy. You are not. You are sensing a pattern mismatch. Your brain evolved to expect certain spaces to contain certain densities of human noise and motion. When you walk into a silent cafeteria, the prediction fails. The prediction error is massive. Your amygdala, the threat detector, flags the anomaly. It whispers, something is wrong. The space is not haunted. Your pattern recognition software threw up an error code. That texture of emptiness you feel, that is not poetry. That is your brain scanning for the tribe and finding nobody home. Chrysalism, that warm, safe feeling when a storm is raging outside and you are inside with nowhere to be. Sounds like a simple joy. It is actually a survival system rebranded as coziness. Your brain is constantly running a cost-benefit analysis on every action. Should you be out hunting? Should you be farming? Should you be dealing with people? The storm is too violent. It would kill you or soak you. Your brain does the math instantly and concludes movement is not an option. So it slams the relief button. It releases a cocktail of endogenous opioids and tells you you are safe, you are sealed in, nothing is required. The warmth is not from the blanket. It is from your brain chemically rewarding you for staying in a shelter while a predator-level weather event passes. You are not vibing. You are in a cocoon because your deep mammal brain said wait it out or die. Velichor, the quiet, slightly sad atmosphere of used bookshops. You think it is the smell of old paper and history. Wrong. Velichor is the emotional exhaust of ownership loss. Every book on those shelves had a previous human attached. Someone bought it. They underlined things that meant something at the time. They used a receipt as a bookmark. And then, for whatever reason, they let it go. It got sold, donated, abandoned. Your brain walks into a room full of objects that are tagged with absent owners. It detects hundreds of small, broken social bonds. The books are not just objects, they are severed connections. Your brain, that relentless social processor, registers the cumulative weight of all that disconnection. The melancholy is not about the books, it's the faint, distributed sadness of 100 small funerals you never attended. Monachopsis, the subtle, persistent feeling of being out of place. You are at a party, you're talking, you are smiling, but something is off. You think you are just shy. You think you have not found your people. Here's the mechanism. Your brain has a built-in social frequency tuner. In any group, it reads microexpressions, rhythm, shared reference points. It compares your internal state to the group state. When the match is poor, it generates a low-level error signal. That is monachopsis. It's not a character flaw. It's a bandwidth mismatch. And the quiet thought underneath it is that somewhere there is a room where the signal locks in perfectly. Most of your life is spent scanning for that frequency. The trap is thinking the problem is you. The reality is your antenna just works on a channel most people do not use. Mauerbauer-Trauerkeit, the German word for the urge to push people away even when you don't really want to. You call it needing alone time. You call it setting boundaries. Nope, it's a defensive reflex misfiring. Someone reaches out, a friend, a family member, someone safe, and something in you just closes. You make an excuse, you sit alone, and then you feel lonely, which is technically what you chose. The brain does this when its social threat detector is calibrated too high. Previous hurt taught it that closeness equals eventual pain, so it builds the wall before the threat even appears. The German name literally means wall builder sadness. That's the loop. The wall goes up, the sadness follows, and you are left with a loneliness that's hard to complain about because you created it yourself. That's the trap. You're not protecting your peace, you're automating isolation. Anemone. Nostalgia for a time you have never known. You see old footage of a city street from the 1970s, the washed-out colors, the slightly wrong aspect ratio, and you feel a pull toward it. You think you miss a simpler time. You're wrong. You're missing a curated highlight reel. Old media only shows you the good stuff. The photos that survived were the nice ones. The footage was taken during celebrations. Nobody filmed the boredom, the disease, the cold, the lack of dental care. Your brain projects a fantasy of simplicity onto a dataset that has been scrubbed clean of suffering. The feeling is real, but the object is a phantom. You're not longing for the past, you're longing for a version of the present where all the bad parts have been edited out. That's not history, that's a filter. Ocalism, the sudden, uncomfortable sense of how small you are. 8 billion people on the planet, a universe so large the numbers stop meaning anything. You are one person in one tiny window of time, and yet you're still obsessing over what you said at work last Thursday. Some people find it freeing, others find it terrifying. Here's what it actually is. Ocalism is your brain's scale processor breaking. Your brain evolved to handle a tribe of about 150 people and a lifespan of a few decades. It can't comprehend billions of years or light years of distance. When you try to force it, the mental simulation glitches. Your sense of self briefly detaches from its usual anchor. The floor disappears. That vertigo is not spiritual awakening. It's a cognitive stack overflow. You're not expanding your consciousness, you're blue screening your ego. Onism.
The frustration of being stuck in just one body, one timeline, one life. Every choice closes off 100 others. Every city you live in means dozens you did not. You scroll the internet and see all the lives you are not living. You think this is ambition. You think this is wanderlust. Nope. Onism is a side effect of infinite optionality meeting finite hardware. Your brain can simulate countless possible futures. It can imagine the version of you that became a diver in Thailand, the one that became a painter in Berlin, the one that stayed with that person. But it can only execute one timeline. The gap between what your simulation engine can produce and what your body can actually do creates a permanent, low-level frustration. The internet poured jet fuel on this by giving you one-click access to every path not taken. You are not deep. You are a single-core processor being asked to run a million parallel threads. The system slows down. The heat builds. That is onism. The awareness of all the lives you are not living is just your hardware crying. Here is the thing. These words are not beautiful. They are diagnostic labels for cognitive glitches. Your brain is not a soul. It is a 3-pound prediction engine running on outdated firmware in a world it was never designed for. Every time you felt that deep poetic pull, you were actually feeling an error message. But now you have read the manual. You see the Sonder loop, the Herath subtraction error, the limerent dopamine slot machine, the onism processor overload. Awareness is not a cure, but it is the only thing that prevents you from drowning in the illusion. You do not need a bigger vocabulary for your sadness. You need to know the machine you are trapped in. And now you do. If you enjoyed this video, YouTube knows you will like the 16 essential minerals that keep you alive right here.